Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of PCA Sim Racing Series 5, Round 6 at Watkins Glen International, where we are about to get set with the Club Class presented by Michelin, a better way forward. James Blank, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Sailor Burris and our producer Ryan Bauer, and we are not terribly far away from all the action here at Watkins Glen International. Upstate New York is our home for all the action. Not terribly far away from the Finger Lakes, actually, and plenty of great weather in the summer for these drivers to tackle if they so choose. As we enter the club class, or as a lot of people in Chicago would call it, the Trey Drawhorn class, or as the points would have you believe, the Sean Binet and Raphael Amarine class, where we talked about Earl Lodge Jr. and Jensen Binet in the sport class. The points battle between Sean Binet and Raphael Amarine is just about identical, to say the least. Very similar drops, very similar madness. However, Raphael has his quote-unquote bad drop that Earl picked up tonight. Only picked up 170 points in his last outing. He was 26th last time we raced at Circuit of the Americas. It was a tough race for Raphael Amarine. Sean Binet's drop, as it stands, was his race at Barber Motorsports Park. He finished 8th there, which wasn't great by his standards, but still certainly better, I think, of the situation, because it puts the pressure on Amarine to really reel it here. He does not have the same room for error that Binet does, Taylor.
He certainly does not. I mean, if we look at the point standings right now, Sean Binet picked up 3 wins in the past 5 races. Raphael Amarine, only 1 win. So Raphael's going to have a little bit of work done in order to try and see if he can close the gap on Sean Binet. I think it's safe to say for Raphael, in order to take home the checkered flag, he's going to have to win 2 out of these 3 races left in the season, and Binet has to probably finish a little bit lower in the point standings.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. There's a minute left in qualifying, and maybe a few monkey wrenches to throw in all of this, as some drivers are just taking these last few laps to get practice in, but everybody else is largely established where they are in the grid. And if we see any shockers here, and if there might be people to watch tonight that we haven't necessarily seen carry speed, how about Mark Harris starting 3rd this evening? How about Sahib Khalsa with a strong run in qualifying, P2 tonight? You look at some of these names, some of these drivers, you're seeing some folks that have experience here, I think.
You certainly have. I mean, Sahib Khalsa has been having a great run here with his qualifying run right now, so we'll have to keep an eye and see how he can do here tonight. He's not in the top 22 in points right now because he's missed first few races of the season, but with a good run here tonight, he could move his way up in the point standings after tonight.
And this is also a de facto home race this season for Mark Harris, too. He's out of the Connecticut Valley region of the PCA, which covers the state of Connecticut and western Massachusetts, which runs up towards Springfield, the home of the Basketball Hall of Fame, which on this night seems very prudent, given that we may end up crowning a new champion of professional basketball here in America by the evening's end. Qualifying is done, though, and that means it's time to bring you the starting grid for tonight's 3rd race. The club class, presented by Michelin, a better way forward. Starting lineup is as follows for this 6th round of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing for the club class. Raphael Amarine, the only driver and the first driver tonight in the 155s, a 155.6. To take pole over Sahib Khalsa. Mark Harris begins tonight from 3rd. Sean Binet, who's fighting Amarine in the point standings, begins from 4th. 5th is the 395 of Trey Drawhorn, the fan favorite. Steven Chen begins tonight from 6th. 7th is the 6-car Brett Holmes. Jean-Paul Lano starts from the 8th position. 9th will be the 834 Philippe Auberti, and Ed Nelson at the 987 will start this race from the 10th position.
Rodney Campbell will be starting in 11th, followed by Kevin Douglas in 12th position. Mario Gonzalez will be starting in the 13th position, followed by Jeremy Mazzariello in 14th. Sean Murphy in the 20 will be starting from the 15th position, followed by Michael Patterson in 16th. 17th will go to the 89 of Robert Cottle, followed by Peter Signorni in 18th. 19th will be Spencer Karate, and Jake Steinbrink will round out your top 20.
21st in this race is John Patterson. Colin Thomas begins from 22nd. 23rd of the grid tonight is Mike Nyman and Klaus Nielsen. starts from 24th. 25th on the grid is the English expat Andrew, also now turned Pete Stater. Brady McMacken, who was the Series 4 Challenge Class champion, starts 26th. Ryan Mousing rolls off from 27th. Dave Stewart and Patrick Gill, 28th and 29th on the grid. As we take you through the track facts one more time at Watkins Glen International in Watkins Glen, New York. It's the full layout with the inner loop for the bus stop, depending on how you call it, whatever way you call it, and the full boot. 3.40 miles, 5.43 kilometers in length with 11 turns. The race at sunrise, same time approximately that we got the sport race going just before 7 a.m. local time in Sim. The default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2020. Temps, humidity, all pretty much the same. 65 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 66 degrees Fahrenheit track temp, winds to the south at 10 miles an hour, and humidity at 70%. So, side by side they'll go, and Amarine will be the one to try and tow them all into turn one. But if you're Sean Benet and you are so close on points with your closest competitor in the standings, what's your approach on this opening lap, even this opening corner? How do you try and tackle it, TB?
Well, we could see the same stunt that Jensen pulled from Sean Benet tonight. He may try to take it 3, maybe even 4 wide going into turn number 1, but I'm pretty sure he's going to also be patient and try to see if he can make a mistake happen for Raphael Amarine for him to take over the race lead, or it could be a pit stop strategy. He could pit before Raphael and end up leapfrogging Raphael during the pit stop cycle. So it's all based on time and patience here at Watkins Glen International. 21 laps, a long time, but just like we saw in the last class, it can go by very quickly if you're not paying attention.
It can go very quickly if you're not paying attention, and these things definitely can turn about and go wild here in the not too distant future. We'll just have to keep our eyes peeled to see where everybody ends up in all of this, but it is Raphael Amarine and Sahib Khalsa that we will watch coming through the boot. I'll remind you all that tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by our friends at Virtual Racing School. Drivers have the option of running VRS setups in tonight's race if they don't have the time to set up their own setups, and all drivers in all classes have access to the same great VRS setups that have made them one of the best places to go for setups in all of iRacing. To find out more about Virtual Racing School and figure out how you can become a faster driver, turn your attention and log on to www.virtualracingschool.com for more information. Raphael Amarine, Sahib Khalsa. Impressive combo all the way around, and a lot of fun that we're going to see. Amarine, the Peach Stater. Khalsa, the Golden Gator. Atlanta, San Francisco, fighting for the top spot here when we go off into turn 1, or maybe Mark Harris. You cannot rule out Harris, who will start from 3rd of the Connecticut Valley region, and then the Benets, we know, who dominate the Lincoln Trail region of Illinois to set this up. What can we expect from Raphael Amarine, from Sahib Khalsa? Who gets the jump on the start and gets that great run into turn 1? We saw it with Chris Duffy in the sport class. We'll see it likely here in just a few moments with this club class presented by Michelin, which gets the green flag right about now. Amarine is off. We're underway. He didn't get the best of starts. He went right before the green flag, so Khalsa will have the lead before we get into 1, and Harris might be clear of Raphael Amarine before we get to 2, but Amarine will drive it into 2nd. He'll go up to P2 and cede the lead to Khalsa, who comes out in front, although Amarine has a good run, and he's going to get pinched off there by Khalsa. Coming up the top of the hill towards the S's, it's Khalsa, Amarine, and then Sean Benet, who's ahead of Trey Drawhorn and Mark Harris, who nearly bounced off of Brett Holmes.
A tight battle as they continue on down the back straightaway here, heading into the bus stop chicane once again, and they will now go through there still single file, but Raphael Amarine try to go deep into the braking zone to try to gain some ground on Khalsa. Could not make it happen as we watch through the rest of the field. Top 5 has gone through, no incidents by the looks of it through the bus stop chicane. Everyone makes it through nice and clean, which is always nice to see here as they go through the carousel and now enter the boot.
They enter the boot. It's Khalsa, it's Amarine, it's Benet in 3rd. That was a good start for Benet. He's up 1 spot. Amarine's back 1 spot. It's exactly what Benet in the 7 car needed, although Kalsa, I don't think, has the pace of these two. Door may be open. It may be a big move down in the boot from one of Benet or Amarine, who will immediately jump to the inside to block the 7 car as they work for some sort of space to get around Sahib Kalsa in the 55.
Sahib, though, is doing a great job of keeping Raphael Amarine and Sean Benet at bay as they come through the transition up the hill onto the straightaway before they get to the final 2 corners right now. And he could be able to pull away to where he can lead the first lap here of 21 as they go through the second of the last corners. And now approaching the final corner, he's stretched it out quite a bit by about 2 or 3 car lengths.
Stretched it out there with that great run, but Amarine gains all that time back with a good run through turn 11, that final corner. And as we come across the stripe, we'll take a look at lap times just to be sure, just to be safe. And it was a 58.7 to a 58.8 and then a 59. So solid work all the way around for our race leaders. And now the pressure is on Kalsa, who didn't get the greatest of runs out of turn 1. Here comes Amarine beginning to stalk the 55 through the S's.
He is really putting the pressure on the back bumper of Kalsa as they come out of the S's. Sean Benet looks on in patience, waiting for the opportune time to make an attack as they go down the back straightaway. Here they go. Benet gets into the slipstream. He'll take a peek as we see Amarine trying to break the draft as they go into the bus stop chicane. As we see, Kalsa does a great job of hitting his mark through the apexes and continues on, but here comes Amarine to the inside.
They just will not split themselves at the pointed end of this field. 1, 2, 3, separated by 0.5 of a second. And if you throw Trey Drawhorn in there, it's only maybe 1.2 seconds tops, splitting these top 4. But Sahib Kalsa holding off Raphael Amarine for the moment, but for how much longer? Because Amarine's got the pace. You can see it in the 24 machine. He's faster than the 55, who bobbles out of the corner. And then forces Amarine into trouble. Raphael Amarine out of the heel, no toe of the boot. Amarine around, and that is a disastrous mistake for the 24 when we consider that Sean Benet just managed to carry on through as Amarine was trying to follow Kalsa, and I think it was a case of monkey see, monkey do, as Kalsa just bobbled on the exit of the toe, and it forced Amarine into his own mistake, and Amarine got on the gas a little bit too much, then got the grass and spun it off to the inside and hit the fence on the exit of the toe of the boot.
And with that, that's probably going to put him out of the race with that damage. And that will be his worst finish of the season so far. So not what he needed in the point standing. So as long as Sean Benet is able to finish this race inside the top 3, we can see ourselves a new points leader and possibly a champion.
And problems for Mark Harris as well. Big incident for the 981 machine. Contact coming out of the corner as Harris got into Brett Holmes, who's just sort of coming up to the outside. Not much, I think, that Holmes was trying to do besides take advantage of a weaving Harris, who then bounced off the side of Rodney Campbell. But Harris with a considerable amount of damage, and that likely is his race done too. So after all of that, Amarine is in 13th with all that damage to the front end of his car, which shouldn't slow him down too much, but might be enough. And Benet, now your race leader, he's managed to clear Sahib Kalsa. So this is worst case scenario for Raphael Amarine at this stage.
Pretty much, this is the worst case scenario for him, but a great scenario for Sean Benet. So we're going to have to see, what can Raphael do? Can Sean Benet capitalize on this with another win here? Only time will tell once we get closer to the finish.
Amarine needed a good finish so that he wouldn't necessarily have to worry about the offset that would be dealt with by Benet's great run. Benet's going to stretch his points lead out if Amarine can't get back basically into the top 3, and if Benet holds this place at the front, because Amarine would have this finish count. It would go against him as Kalsa just about got into the back of the Benet coming through the heel of the boot. That was close, but Benet maintains the race lead. But if you're looking at points, we'll go through this once again just to reinforce what we're looking at here. Amarine's worst finish in this series, this was 7 free race, was the 26th. He currently runs in the 12th spot, which would net him 254 points. Obviously better than the 170, but not as good as the 278 that you get for finishing in 8th, which is currently Sean Benet's drop. So this finish in every stretch of the imagination would count against him. And the first goal he has to hit now is to get back to 8th to minimize the damage on this particular race. Make sure you're not losing anything to Benet's worst race. And then you've got to see how many points you can get and hope that Sean Benet ends up making a mistake at one of Suzuka or Daytona to round out the season.
It's going to be interesting to see, as will we see Raphael Amarine be able to make a chance for this. He's got quite a bit of damage to the front nose of that number 24 Porsche, but he's still running consistent pace right now. He ran a 158.02 compared to Kevin Douglas, who's in 11th with a 158.77. And looking through up to 10th place, he's actually faster than those two drivers as we see them go into the bus stop chicane.
Right on board. Look at the fan favorite there for a second. Trey Horn out of the Chicago region, who is not out of the picture by any stretch of the imagination. It almost looks like Sahib Khalsa is not afraid to push the issue here with Sean Benet, and that may end up playing in Drawhorn's favor because Benet's not really getting any sort of breaks whatsoever from the 55, who nearly got into the back of the 7 once again, and that's drawing Drawhorn ever closer, corner by corner, lap by lap to these front two.
He is definitely putting the pressure on those two drivers as they exit out of the boot here at Watkins Glen International. Sean Benet still trying to hold off Sahib Khalsa, who takes a peek to the inside as they go out into the transition onto the straightaway here before they get to turns 10 and 11.
Khalsa had the great run, but Benet blocked his line and took it away and forced him to check up a bit. That opened up about a car length between the 7 and the 55. But Khalsa is absolutely on the gas for all it's worth, trying to run down Sean Benet. We'll take a look at lap times and see where they sit. But Khalsa didn't get the greatest of runs out of the corner. Here comes Drawhorn looking to the inside. Khalsa moves over the block. Drawhorn's going to go even deeper in there. He's going to send it off in a 1. The question is whether or not he can make it stick. As a great run on the outside there for Khalsa to maintain the spot for a moment. And then here comes Drawhorn back to the inside to try and get the spot. He'll nose ahead in the S's, and usually that's good enough to take up a P2. Move Trey Drawhorn up to second. The man who won the season opener at Laguna Seca back on the prowl for more.
He is definitely on the prowl to get another position, get his second win of the season here in the PCA Sim Racing Series as they make it to the bus stop chicane right now. Currently, it is about 1 second separating him from Sean Benet as they come out of the bus stop and into the carousel.
I can hear the virtual claps coming from Trey Drawhorn's pit area. You get the vision of the whole family singing around in the chairs like they do at Le Mans or any Formula One race, and everybody in their fire suits just clapping it up as you see the pass on the monitor. So good work there for Trey Drawhorn. A little bit of patience to work his way around Sahib Khalsa, and a nice pass over in the S's to get up to P2. The question now becomes whether or not he has the pace to match Sean Benet, who doesn't necessarily seem as quick here at Watkins Glen as he has at some of the other most recent races we've had in Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing. So I'm not convinced that Benet's got the ability to run away with this one, though he certainly has plenty of pace. He was one of 4 drivers to break the 156 barrier in this race last time by.
Yeah, looking at it right now, he actually ran a 156.58 compared to Sean Benet's 156.80. And looking at their best time, he was almost 0.3 faster than Sean Benet. So Trey Drawhorn could be one to watch here as we continue on, but has also got to throw in the factors. We still have strategies and pit stops to make later in the race.
We do have pit stops. You see Raphael Amarine on your screens. He's still working over Sean Murphy for 12th, who also happens to be the winner of tonight's Z1 Dashboard giveaway that we'll tell you about a little bit more later on in the evening. But Murphy and Amarine together last time by, dead even pretty much on times at the stripe. A 7.20 to a 7.48. Drawhorn slower by 2/100ths of a second, but pretty much nothing in it on lap times between the 7 and the 3.95. And Sahib Khalsa for that matter. Khalsa was actually faster by both Drawhorn and Benet. It was about a 10th he picked up on them, and then you slide back to Filippo Branti and Stephen Chen of the Diablo region of the PCA. Those two running 4th and 5th. I think as this front battle slows itself, or at least settles for a bit, we had the opportunity to look back through the field and show you some of the battles elsewhere. You've got this group that you're seeing here for P4 and P5. 6, 7, 8's a good one too. Rodney Campbell out of the Wild Rose region. Jean-Paul Leno, the 13 machine out of the Mardi Gras region. And then Ed Nelson, that third car in line. Nelson out of the Pacific Northwest region, all having a good bout for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Same you could say for Gonzalez, Douglas, Murphy, Amarine, everybody from 12th to 13th on back or so, TB.
Pretty much if you go all the way back to, let's say 18th position where Mike Knighton currently sits, you will see battles for position right now. So a great group of cars as they go up through the half of the booth, as they come out of the boot, as they work their way through. Mike Knighton watching on as he tries to catch up to Robert Cottle and Jake Steinbrink, who Steinbrink is trying to put his nose to the outside of Michael Patterson. Now he'll look to the inside as they go side by side. Contact almost made, still more contact, and around goes Patterson, but he's able to try and save it as it gets stacked up a little bit. Mike Knighton making contact to the back bumper of Michael Patterson. As they come up, another car goes around. That is Raphael Amarine again.
Amarine in trouble again. That's the big story, though. Out of all of this, he just caught the grass exiting the booth and sent himself around. That's the last thing he needed to have happen. He loses all the track position, goes all the way back to P20 now after running in 12th, which makes this even worse. It's almost a wash now compared to his 26th place finish a few races ago. And he's going to come down pit road now and I think try and make the fuel stop early and try and salvage what has been an abjectly terrible race for the 24, full of spins and damage. He's got to find a way to save it somehow, so this is him playing all the dice.
He's definitely got to roll the dice right here and call a brave strategy. He's going to also probably have some of the older tires. He might be a decent idea to consider doing that. We'll see what he does on his pit stop as he tries to come down. Currently finishing up his pit stop cycle as he just left pit road with a 6.9 second pit stop. Only got fuel to continue on his race, dropping him back to 25th on the last car on the lead lap.
So you would imagine that Amarine should be able to make it to the end. He'll be able to pass everybody else on pit strategy somewhere in this. Meanwhile, Sean Binet has not been able to run off of Trey Drawhorn, who was faster that last time by 0.2 of a second, a 56.5 to a 56.3. So Trey Drawhorn definitely has pace to fight Sean Binet if Binet can't find a way to pick it up. This could be close as Jake Steinbrink has received a black flag for his contact with Michael Patterson in the booth that last lap.
A great battle indeed for the race lead. Don't forget Zahid Kausa, who's not too far behind either. He's about a second back from your race leader as they come up to turn number 10 and work their way through there. It's a nice run for all three drivers heading into turn 11 for the once again, and still nose to tail for your top three.
Absolutely all over these top three right now, loving the battles. We'll remind you that tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by VRS, Virtual Racing School. All drivers in PCA Sim Racing Series 5 have the option of running VRS setups, and if you want to find out more and find out how you can become a faster driver, log on to www.virtualracingschool.com today for more information. Drawhorn was faster again by a 10th that last time by. It is fully in the toe of the 7 car now. So Trey Drawhorn has run down Sean Binet without question. And we will have a battle for the race lead momentarily. And I suspect the boot could be very interesting this time by.
Certainly indeed. And look at Kausa with a big run through the boot or for the bus stop chicane. He was able to gain quite a bit of time, almost, I'd say 0.8 of a second on our top two as they go into the boot right now. And we see Trey Drawhorn try to take a peek to the inside of Binet, but can't quite make it work. Let's see what he does as he's coming up to the second part. He'll go to the outside, the long way around, and see if that momentum can carry him through.
Go to the outside to try and make the move on the inside. It didn't necessarily work up, and Kausa had to check up to make sure he didn't run to the back of the Drawhorn as Binet took a low exit out of the toe, and it kept Drawhorn from being able to cross him over, which is exactly what he was looking for. But now Trey Drawhorn goes to the inside and makes easy work of Sean Binet. Trey Drawhorn, the 395 car, back to the race lead for the first time. Oh, contact, though, in the exit of the boot. Just a bit, not too much, though. I thought that Drawhorn was going to go wide, but the 395 is in the race lead. Sean Binet back to second.
A little bit of bump and rubbing here at Watkins Glen International. These drivers are giving it all they have to take home the checkered flag here at these hallowed grounds of Watkins Glen International as they come down the front straightaway here to complete lap number 8, 24 minutes left on the clock.
They do run stock cars here, to be fair. That's certainly something we, I guess, can keep in mind. And we've seen some pretty good races over the years here at Watkins Glen International. But Trey Drawhorn now clear of Sean Benet by a decent amount. Benet ran a 58.2 to Drawhorn's 57.7. So the gap is now almost half a second from the 395 to the 7. Who's going to have to worry about Sahib Khalsa, but Drawhorn didn't get the greatest of runs to the S's, and so we go back to the front again, where they are tighter than anywhere else on the racetrack.
They are. I mean, this is probably the best battle overall on the race circuit right now. Your top three as they work through the carousel. Once again, Drawhorn was able to pull about a 6/10 lead over Sean Benet, as Sean Benet currently has about a 4/10 of a second lead over Sahib Khalsa.
So, yeah, Benet to Khalsa is about 4/10. Drawhorn is about 6/10 up there. Filippo Berti and Stephen Chen together. Campbell, Leno Nelson together. Gonzalez and Douglas pretty solid. You have to go back to Colin Thomas and Michael Patterson. Then Klaus Nielsen, Andrew Elsom having a good battle back there too. Azor, Raphael Amarine, and Robert Cottle. And Sean Murphy's also made his pit stop too. And he's come out ahead of Amarine. So that's one car that Amarine's going down the race straight up for track position. But wow, to think your best battle in the entire field, absolutely without question, these front three.
It certainly is, and a great battle as they continue on their way, as they come out of the boot and work their way through turn 10 and 11, and still battling hard, these three drivers, and putting on a great show here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Now, I got a note from our good friend Michael Polisek just before this race started. He made the point to me, and I quote, "Fernando, we need to save fuel. We'll have big problems if we don't save fuel." So maybe to that end, to the drivers, make sure you have the drink. And the 395, how big is this that Trey Drawhorn has received a connection warning? You see the car blink on your screens just a little bit. That's a factor of the service and the ISP powers that be in the internet coming in on the 395 machine. It takes a solid connection to make sure that you can run iRacing consistently, whether or not you're spectating these races like we are, or whether or not you're racing in them like Drawhorn is. If he continues to have connection issues, racing team and the race control folks here at PCA will black flag Drawhorn and send him down pit road. So Trey Drawhorn might have to worry about that, maybe more so than the pressure from behind at this stage.
Yeah, the reason why that's such a problem for those of you who are new to this, when a driver is what we see is blinking or having connection issues, it can cause drivers behind him difficulties of where to place their cars. One minute you see the car in front of you, the next it's gone. So if you're thinking about going into a corner in a certain section, that car could pop out of nowhere and possibly, in a sense, put damage to your race car or put you out of the race because you make contact with that car. So it's very difficult to place your car when you see a car in front of you or behind you blinking. So you have to be mindful of that situation. It's a great call. If they don't get it fixed, they have to serve the penalty.
Going to be tight for Trey Drawhorn, who is stabilized on the last lap in fairness, but Sean Benet has been sitting and waiting, and race control is all over that. If there are any issues with that, we'll see Drawhorn get forced down pit road. Maybe now we get an opportunity to look at Filippo Berti and Stephen Chen. We'll slide a little bit further back, and we'll take a moment just to talk about Oberti, who I believe is teammates to Ian Scheinman in the challenge class. He's had so much success as Ian Scheinman, but Oberti, one of the late entries into this particular class. He came in the third race of the season. He's out of the Lone Star region, Houston, College Station, and company down in Texas. Some of the folks that you can see race out of that region in PCA sim racing. And Oberti with plenty of place, plenty of speed. This is one of his best runs all season long.
Yeah, a great run for Oberti as he's working his way in the fourth position, trying to hold off a hard-charging Stephen Chen from the Diablo region as they go down the back straightaway heading to the bus stop chicane. Both of them separated by about 0.3 of a second. And then you have to go another 2 seconds back to where you'll find Rodney Campbell and Jean-Paul Leno. These two drivers have been battling since the drop of the green flag. As we see, Campbell gets a little bit loose through there. That's going to cause them to go side by side through the carousel, as Leno will go to the outside. Campbell will hold the inside as they come out of the carousel and go into the boot. They will now cross over, switch positions, and work their way down into the boot once again for here on lap 11.
Rodney Campbell just about holding Jean-Paul Lenoir at bay. And Nelson also in the mix too in the 987 machine. He's really tied up amongst this bunch. And it's another good three-car pack. The same kind of thing we're seeing at the very front of the field with Benet and company.
Yeah, great battles all the way around the track here. I mean, you have these three drivers. You have the battle for ninth position between Mario Gonzalez and Kevin Douglas. And then as well, we brought out, there was a couple of battles. Sean Murphy, John Patterson are battling it out right now for 18th and 19th. So a couple of good battles all around the track. But of course, the best battle out there on the race circuit is for the top three: Trey Drawhorn, Sean Benet, and Sahib Khalsa.
And as they continue to battle, it's time for us to bring you the Midway Race Break, which for this club class race is brought to you by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward. Trey Drawhorn in the 395, your leader here at the halfway point at Watkins Glen International. Then Sean Benet, the 7 car in second. Those drivers out of the Chicagoland and Lincoln Trail regions respectively, showing all Illinois 1-2 ahead of Sahib Khalsa, who holds that last spot on the podium. He running very nicely in the 3rd place, and Khalsa doing a nice job out of the Golden Gate region. The PCA as Benet is going to go to the inside of Trey Drawhorn for the race lead. We'll make note of that before we slide back to Filippo Berti in the 834 out of the Lone Star region. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Houston, College Station, some of the big cities there. And then Stephen Chen out of the Diablo region, which covers Oakland and the immediate eastern part of San Francisco Bay. He's fit at this time. 6th belongs to Rodney Campbell out of the Wild Rose region that covers Calgary and southern Alberta up in Canada. 7th is Jean-Paul Lenoir, yet another member out of the Mardi Gras region, if the colors on his car weren't any obvious indication. 8th on the docket is Mario Gonzalez, Hill Country region driver out of Austin, Texas. He's got a spot in the top 10, as does Kevin Douglas out of Douglasville, Pennsylvania, and the Reese and Toda region. And no, that is not something we made up. And yes, a happy birthday to Kevin, who having a pretty happy run in 9th. And I want to wish Kevin a very happy birthday from all of us at Podium Esports and the Porsche Club of America. 10th place right now belongs to Jeremy Mazzariello in the North Country region. He holds the final spot in the top 10. And this, a de facto home race for Mazzariello since New Hampshire. It's where the North Country region calls home.
Sitting in the 11th position is the 50 of Spencer Karate, who's having a great run here tonight, followed by Colin Thomas. Colin Thomas from the Allegheny region, sitting in 12th position. Michael Patterson from the Longhorn region will be sitting in 13th position, followed by Klaus Nielsen in just moved up to 13th, getting around Michael Patterson as they come down pit road. Klaus Nielsen is from the Lone Star region. In the 15th position, you'll find Andrew Elson from the Peach State region as he sits there battling it out, keeping ahead of Sean Murphy from the Palmetto region. He sits 16th in that number 20. Brady McMacken is currently sitting in 17th position. He's in a tight battle with John Patterson, who sits 18th in that number 63 Porsche. Raphael Amarine from the Peach State region trying to recover. He currently sits in 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is Robert Cottle, who's from the Intermountain region.
21st is Peter Sigourney, the 014 machine. He's a Northeast region driver. Boston area is home, so de facto home race for him in Series 5. 22nd, Jake Steinbrink, who served the penalty earlier out of the Ohio Valley region, sitting in 22nd in that sort of dusty yellow, shall we say, machine, almost a gold. Not totally certain, but we'll call it one. Brian Mouthing runs in the 23rd position. He's out of the Gold Coast region. Southeastern Florida, Miami is home for him. 24th at this time, Ed Nelson, the Pacific Northwesterner, Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, anything that surrounds Elliott Bay, that's where you'll find Ed. Mike Knighton runs in 25th this evening out of Atlanta. He's a Peach Stater. And then 26th, Mark Harris, after all the damage there, sitting on pit road of the Connecticut Valley region. He runs the 26 car. Final one on the lead lap is Filippo Berti, has run into trouble damage on the number 834. Brett Holmes, Dave Stewart, Patrick Gill out of the race as it stands. And that concludes your Midway Race Break. Brought to you by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward.
Yeah, back on Felipe Albrete, he got loose coming out of turn number 10 and causing incident was making contact to the 62 of Rodney Campbell. So not only did he receive damage from the incident that he made contact with the barriers, but also received a penalty for having a self-spin that caused an incident, which he made an incident with Rodney Campbell. So he is now down pit road, repairing the damage and serving his penalty.
So he will serve his penalty and get that car fixed up as best he can, and then we'll see what happens. But again, just some of the best battling we've seen at the front of any PCA field. I think this is up there in terms of skill level with that pro race at Road Atlanta that we saw with about 4 cars in the top 4 who rode in a train for the final half of that race in such impressive fashion. This, at least up to this point, has been on that kind of level of excellence in craft. It doesn't necessarily look like much is happening when you see it from the outside, but when you consider all of these drivers are going through and processing to turn these laps and turn these times, circuit after circuit after circuit after circuit around here, it's thoroughly impressive what they've been able to pull off so far.
It certainly is. I mean, especially for a driver like Sahib Khalsa, who hasn't made too many starts this season. He is on an absolutely tremendous run here at Watkins Glen International. He is putting the pressure on the back bumper of Sean Benet as they come out of the boot, up the hill as they go down this little straightaway here through the transition. He'll take a peek to the inside, but has to check up in order not to get into the back bumper of Sean Benet as they approach turn 10.
And we thought the Sahib Khalsa was good, and then maybe he faded, and then maybe he dropped off. We weren't sure, and I almost wonder if Khalsa has just been waiting for his moment too. Because each one of these drivers has been near the top 3 and had something for Benet, although not a great run out of the final corner for Khalsa that last time by. So Benet's going to open it up, a 56.8 to a 57.2. So Khalsa's got plenty of work to do, but Khalsa's also not afraid to send it in. He's breaking deeper than any one of these top 3 drivers so far.
He certainly has. We saw that happen, especially on the bus stop chicane a couple of laps ago, where he was able to work his way up to the back bumper of Trey Drawhorn and Sean Benet. But now we'll see what he can do as he goes out of the S's and down the back straightaway here. Can he make up any ground to the back bumper of Sean Benet? Let's keep an eye and see as the 3 drivers work their way down the long back straightaway into the bus stop chicane. They will go. Here comes Khalsa late into the braking. He's able to gain a couple of car lengths to Sean Benet as they come out of there through the carousel. A great run for the 55 of Sahib Khalsa.
And to me, that's the most intriguing thing, that for as poor as his exit was out of turn 11 that last time by, given that he was almost back by about a second, look at the time he's gained just in this lap. Khalsa has pace, has speed to win this. It's just going to be a matter of timing the pass right and making sure that you get to Benet at the right time, I think.
Well, let's go throw in the factor that they still have to come down pit road to get the needed fuel to finish out this race. Currently, the highest pitter is Mario Gonzalez in the 777, sitting in 11th position. So our top 10, excluding John Patterson, have yet to pit right now. So we should be seeing them come down in the next lap or 2.
It'll be tight. It'll be close. There are about 10 minutes left to go. And I wonder if this might be where Khalsa decides to make this move. I would not be shocked to see Khalsa short pit Benet and try and leapfrog the 7 car that way. He's close enough to where if he nails his pit stop, he could do it. And given how poorly he's gotten out of turn 11 these last few times, might not be a bad idea to try and take it, as we'll see him duck it in. Yes, indeed. Both Benet and Trey Drawhorn will make their stops here. So this is second and third. And Khalsa and Drawhorn, rather, are the ones to come in. Sean Benet stays out, so he'll be the long pitter amongst the top 3.
Stephen Chen also comes down pit road, followed by Jean-Paul Leno. Jeremy Mazzariello is also going to come down pit road. Keeping an eye and see who else will do. Spencer Karate is the next car up. Will he come down pit road? The answer will be, I think he will be coming down pit road, followed by Colin Thomas. Klaus Nielsen as well as next in line. Is he going to stay on track or continue on? Nope, everybody pretty much on the top 10 is coming down pit road.
So you figure Benet's got to come in this next time by, would only make sense. And that will be something we'll keep our eyes peeled for once we get around to the start-finish line. But as we wait for Benet to come down pit road, we'll remind you all that Tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by the Z1 Dashboard. The Z1 Dashboard is the racing analytics application that shows everything you need to know about your position on track, your competitors' positions, and where you'll be after pit stops. The Z1 Dashboard can also tell you where your competition is, when you should pit, how much fuel you should take, and what the weather is like in sim. You can assign up to 10 different dashboards to each car and switch between them with a click of a button. So the required information is always at your fingertips. The latest version of the Z1 Dashboard has just come out, and it allows you to use any mobile device with a web browser as a display for the Z1 Dashboard, and includes even more dashboards to boot. To find out more about the Z1 Dashboard, visit them at www.z1dashboard.com. Z1 Dashboard, as always, is offering a free sim racing software package to one lucky PCA Sim Racing EDE student each and every Friday night. And tonight's winner out of the Palmetto region in this particular class is Sean Murphy, club class driver. The PCA Sim Racing EDE program provides free sim racing coaching for novices turning their first lap to the most seasoned of professionals. And you can sign up for the EDE program at PCASimRacing.com/EDE. You might win this software, as Sean Benet is indeed in pit road. So, moment of truth for the 7 and the 55 and the 395. Where do they come in relation to Sean Benet?
That is going to be the question. They're coming out of the final turn right now. Sean Benet still on pit road. As we will see, here comes Kalsa. He's going to come across the line. Benet is out of his pit box, but I think Kalsa is going to beat him off pit road here as they go into the 90. Let's see where Sean Benet. Nope, Benet will come off pit road first. And we are back where we left off, all three cars under a blanket.
It's that short exit out of pit road that saved Benet, and they were almost identical. If anything, Benet actually was a little bit slower out of pit road, which might give Kalsa the opportunity to get the drive to the Joe. Coming down the long straightaway here. Where does he go? To the inside, to the outside. Big move there for Kalsa, who will be alongside Benet, but may have to seed. He's going to try and break it deep and force a mistake, but nothing there. Sean Benet holds on, maintains the race lead with 7.5 minutes left to go in this car race.
Tense moments here as they come out of the carousel and enter into the boot. Trey Strawhorn was able to gain a ton of time to the back bumper of Sahib Kalsa as they enter the boot. Oh, big checkup as well from both drivers. This could allow Sean Benet to try to get away from Sahib, as Trey Strawhorn will go to the outside as they come into the boot.
Going to need a big crossover from Jawhorn to set this up right. Break early, turn hard, get to the apex earlier than Kalsa. It would give you the opportunity to make the pass coming to the heel of the boot, but he didn't get a good enough run, so Kalsa will maintain that second spot, and Sean Benet all of a sudden has a 0.7 of a second lead, which Kalsa has been able to make up in the infield, but the Achilles heel, no pun intended for Kalsa, has been that 10-11 complex. Benet's been so much better out of there, and anything that Kalsa's been able to gain in the infield, he's more often than not given back up in those two corners in particular.
He certainly has. We'll have to see what he can do as the laps continue to wind down. They come out of turn number 10, and Sean Benet stretched it out again to about 0.8 of a second now as they come through turn 11. Here comes Strawhorn to the back bumper of Kalsa as they come out of turn 11 down the front straightaway. It is still 0.7 of a second between him and Sean Benet.
And it is the same issue again. Kalsa did not get the greatest of runs out of the corner, so those three will continue to fight. Good stuff between Spencer Carrade, Mario Gonzalez, and Raphael Amarine, who's back up to 12. We're keeping an eye on the points battle. Peter Sigourney and Michael Patterson together neatly. Colin Thomas and Klaus Nielsen together neatly. Jake Steinbrink and Mike Neiden together in 22nd and 23rd. But this race, more so than a lot of others we've seen in PCA Sim Racing this year, is entirely about the battle at the front.
It certainly is as they go through the bus stop once again. Here comes a big run from Kalsa. Look at all the time he is able to gain through the bus stop. That's probably his best section of the course right there, is where he gains the most time, and in rarely he just barely touches the brake and makes great runs through and is able to keep up with Sean Benet as they enter into the boot.
You would think at some point that Kalsa would maybe be able to nail down the exit out of 10 and 11 and maintain all this time he gains, because he's clearly faster than Sean Benet pretty much everywhere on the racetrack, save for that opening little stretch. You get to the inner loop, and I would say up through the boot, Kalsa's faster, but Benet makes up so much time in 10, 11, 1, up to 2 of the S's to the inner loop that it's just even the lap times of these two out.
It certainly does. I mean, we see the first half of the racetrack goes to Calsa, while the back half of the race course will have to go to Sean Benet because that's where he's capitalized. So we'll have to see as the laps continue to wind down who can put together the better lap.
Where does Benet go and Calsa go? Calsa's got to figure out a way to get more speed here. That, I think, is the biggest thing he's got to worry about. It's a big send in deep. And maybe a little bit better run, I think, through the corner this time by. Looks like Calsa has tried to figure this one out. I don't know. Maybe he's got ears on the broadcast trying to piece this together and play a little bit of strategy. But I think he knows where the speed is. He knows where the pace is. But he also is running out of time to do this. On our count, probably 3 laps left as they've crossed the stripe this time by. So this one and then 2 more to finish off this club class race presented by Michelin. And tough work for Sean Benet. If he can get it done in this race, he will have most certainly earned it, no question.
He certainly will have as they go down the back straightaway heading to the bus stop chicane. Sean Benet throwing the block to try to prevent Sahib Calsa to go to the inside of him through the bus stop. Can't quite make it work, but Sahib still stays hot on his back bumper as they come out of the bus stop and through the carousel. I gotta say, you what, Trey Drawhorn's probably got the best seat in the house watching this battle for the race lead.
Trey Drawhorn does have the best seat in this house. And if these two tangle, Drawhorn's right there too. He's not out of the picture. 8/10 back. He's dropped a little bit, but I almost wonder if he's giving himself space. If he doesn't necessarily have the pace to go after the lead like Calsa does, just sit back, see what happens between these two. They get into each other. We'll see what happens. That's how Jason Lisner was able to get the victory in the Pro Class at Road Atlanta a few weeks ago. So it's not unheard of for something like that to happen. And I won't rule it out between Benet and Calsa, given how hard they've run all night long.
They certainly have. They have given it everything that they got as they come out of the heel of the boot and down up the hill they will go to where they get to the transition on this straightaway here before they get to turn number 10. Can Calsa put together a run that he needs here as they come up to turn 10? He is still within 0.3 of a second of Sean Benet.
Is indeed. And what do the lap times look like this time by? And what does Calsa do this time by to nail down the run? Looks like a little bit of a bobble through the corner, and maybe Benet got a little bit better exit. I think Calsa's kept the time loss in those particular corners because he was faster. Well, no, you're slower than Benet by 1/10 of a second, but so even on these 2 on lap times, that's what this comes down to, Taylor.
Yeah, this last time by, he only lost 1/10 of a second, but now he's gaining it back up as he's now down to 0.3 of a second between him and Sean Benet as they come up out of the S's down the back straightaway. This is where Calsa shines the brightest here on this back straightaway through the bus stop chicane.
What kind of move does he make? What kind of run does he get? Benet goes to the inside to block, then to the outside to block. Calsa with that good run through the bus stop once again. Bobbles a little bit on that second curve hit, so maybe a car length loss to the 7 of Benet, but nothing doing yet between these two who are so even on pace. And the white flag will come out next time by.
One more attempt for these two drivers to try to get together the best lap absolutely possible to take home a checkered flag at Watkins Glen International. As they come up to the toe of the boot, they take a little bit of a higher arc into the corner to try to get the best run off corner exit. They're both in each other's tire tracks and come perfectly out of the toe and head to the heel.
Out of the toe, through the heel, Benet, Calsa, Drawhorn, Shannon Leno still running 4th and 5th. Big move there in the heel of the boot for Calsa. Benet is able to counter and block. He got a better run out of the heel. Now Calsa's turn to try and line this up the right way with the biggest of sends through the middle of the corner, but he just can't quite get to Benet, and Benet takes away Calsa's line a bit through the center of that corner too, and it backs up to 55. And now we'll see what kind of time he does or doesn't lose in this particular corner. He switched his lineup, I think, since we saw him a few laps ago. But something big on this last lap has to happen for Sahib Calsa. The white flag is out. 1 lap to go here at Watkins Glen, the club class presented by Michelin.
Into the 90 for the final time. Now we see them nose to tail as both of them get a great run off corner exit. Trey Drawhorn in hot pursuit, about 1.3 seconds back from our top 2 as they climb up the S's, hitting their marks, hitting the apex, hitting the curb to try to get as much speed carried down the back straightaway.
One more shot in this bus stop that Sahib Khalsa has been so good in all night long, but he's a little bit too far away to make the move this time when he needed to be closer. He'll get in there with a good run, get in there with a big send, gonna draw right on the back of Sean Benet. That's about as good a run as he could have asked for coming through the bus stop, but is it going to be enough?
And we'll have to find out as they come out of the carousel and head to the entrance of the boot. They will make the downhill run towards the entrance of the boot. As we see, Khalsa will take the outside lane to try to gain a little momentum, but loses time actually through there as they come up to the toe of the boot. And for the final time, Sean Benet just runs his best line through there as Trey Drawhorn is now starting to draw back in.
How big was that run through the ankle? I think Khalsa was trying to put the crossover, but he couldn't get down to the inside the way he needed to, and that cost him just enough time that Sean Benet, barring a mistake, might just be safe.
As they go through the heel of the boot for the final time, both of them still lined up. About a car length separate the two drivers. Up the hill they go. Khalsa goes to take the wider arc in, gets to the back bumper, tries to get him loose a little bit, but can't quite make it work. They come to turn 10 and 11 for the final time.
He's there. He's definitely not out of it just yet. Khalsa backs it up there. It's going to be one big run through 11 if he makes it stick. He's going to have to back it up and get on the gas super early to get back to Sean Benet, but he does not have it. Sean Benet equals his brother. Sean Benet makes it 3 wins in a row and gets it done at Watkins Glen International in the club class presented by Michelin. 1, 2, 3 podium over in turn 1. Nice touch for the drivers over there, but 3 wins in a row, just like his brother. The Benets are in victory lane together again for a 3rd time in Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing. Taylor Burris.
How about a dynasty here in the PCA Sim Racing Series? We, of course, had the Levesque, father and son. We had the brothers, the Huth brothers, and now the Benet brothers, the newest family in the PCA who puts on dominating performances week after week. And I'm looking forward to see those two actually compete against each other in the near future.
Yeah, they if they're in the same class, then they both can't win, right?
Exactly. Somebody's going to have to win.
You would think that it becomes full-on bragging rights because they both have speed to move up classes, although you definitely might look at Sean Benet going to pro in whatever setup for Series 6. I know there's a lot of conversations to be had about what's going to show up in 2021, but
stay tuned for more.
Yeah, plenty of PCA Sim Racing action to be had. Brady McMacken is the last one on the lead lap, and he will bring his brightly colored machine across the line in just a few moments behind Mike Neiden to finish 21st, round out this lead lap, and give us the opportunity to tell you where your favorite driver finished. Sean Benet, your winner, ahead of Sahib Khalsa. Trey Drawhorn finished 3rd to round the podium out. Stephen Chen out of the Diablo region was 4th. 5th went to Jean-Paul Lano. Kevin Douglas was 6th. Sean Murphy 7th. Jeremy Masriello finished in the 8th position. 9th out of the Wild Rose region was Rodney Campbell. And Raphael Amarine with the charge to 10th. So certainly not the worst run in the world, but still lower than the worst finish of Sean Benet. And that is the biggest key of all, because this will count in the points as it stands no matter what.
Spencer Karate will come home 11th, followed by Mario Gonzalez in 12th. 13th go to Colin Thomas, followed by the 14th position of Robert Cottle. 15th goes to Andrew Elston, followed by Michael Patterson in 16th. Ed Nelson will come home 17th, followed by Jake Steinbrink in 19th. Rounding out your top 20 will be John Patterson.
21st this evening was Brady McMacken, who comes home there just ahead of Mike Knight in 20th. Peter Sigourney was the first car, one lap down in 22nd. 23rd went to the 40 of Brian Mousing. Filippo Berti was 24th. 25th to the 04 of Klaus Nielsen. Mark Harris started 3rd, finished 26th. Brett Holmes started 7th, finished 27th. Both of those drivers involved in early incidents and ran into trouble early. Dave Stewart, Patrick Gill, 28th, 29th on this final running order for the club class, presented by Michelin, a better way forward. We now bring forward Sean Benet, who gets it done again, but Sean, Was this the toughest race you've run all year long, given how tight the competition was at the front of this field between you and Sahib and Trey?
Oh, absolutely, guys. I was just talking it over with Jensen, and we both give each other a nod to the talent here. His class is full of really stout drivers. My class, awesome drivers. A lot of people that are just destined for the pro level, and what a hard race. Nothing was set in stone, but I kept my promise from last week, you guys, and I'm just so excited for both of us. I'm really excited. This was an awesome race.
Can you take us through what it's like to be in the heat of a battle like that? We've seen a few across the classes in PCA sim racing this year, but for anyone who's not had the chance to be in a three-car battle like that, where you are at the absolute bleeding edge of your abilities, pushing yourself, and you are being pushed because everybody else around you is running that fast. What's that like from behind the driver's seat to have to execute at that level every lap for the entirety of the race?
A lot of people would think that you're counting on somebody else to make a mistake, but you're really just counting on yourself to not make any mistakes, because it's up to you whether or not you're going to come out of this battle, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 car battle. It doesn't really matter. As long as you keep your nose and tail clean, that is how you make it through there successfully. And you may come out of there with sweaty palms, but as long as your car is in one piece, it's really just so thrilling. And I wish I could be doing it again. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Was about to say that you will be doing it again next week at Suzuka Circuit. First ever Asian race for PCA Sim Racing. We've asked all our winners tonight what you expect out of Suzuka next week. So your thoughts on our first ever trip to Japan?
Well, it's just such a cool track, and Jensen and I have been pretty excited for it. We love like Forza games and other games like that, and that's always been one of our favorite tracks for years. And to do it on the sim with a bunch of our friends, and we've got people like Trey that's fun for everybody to root for. But I think you're going to be looking at Jensen and I to claim some victories again at Suzuka.
Calling his shot a la Babe Ruth one more time. It worked out for him this week, so he gets to earn the accolades this week and the right to thank everyone behind the 7-car that makes these runs possible. Go ahead, Jensen, or Sean, rather. Floor's all yours.
Yep, I got to thank my parents as always. My dad, great crew chief. My mom, awesome team owner. And then I want to give a nod to one of my pals in Michigan, Mike Palco, that was watching. And, he wants to be sitting alongside you guys as an announcer. He went to school with me up in Northwood University in Michigan, and he's went for sports marketing. And I think that he would be a really good addition to your team. So maybe look for his resume.
Calling shots, calling announcers. I don't know. Maybe we need to get Sean on the business development side of this. But in either case, from all of us at Podium Esports and the Porsche Club of America, Sean, congratulations on your victory tonight. 3 for 3, just like your brother. Go party, celebrate with the rest of your family, and hang out, watch the pro race for a little bit, see what the top class does here momentarily.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to miss our weekly talks when this series is over.
Not for a lack of confidence. Sean Bonet, winner again in the club class presented by Michelin for PCA Sim Racing. Series 5, Round 6 from Watkins Glen. One more transition for those of you on YouTube. Final race of the night coming up from Watkins Glen, the pro class, the best of the best in all of PCA Sim Racing will take to this historic road course. New York's Thunder Road comes alive with the 718 Cayman one more time. The pro class is coming up. So for those watching on YouTube, get out of full screen, go to the bottom left, click that blue button that says Sim Racing, go back to the main page and jump to the pro class video, and or follow the link that Jim will post in chat momentarily. For those of you watching on Facebook or on Twitch or anywhere else, stay put right where you are, because when we come back, it's pro class time. The final race of round 6 coming up. Podium Esports brings you coverage of the Porsche Club of America Sim Racing Series from Watkins Glen International.